It's Monday, which means one thing for me. I'm going to give you a recap of the horses that caught my eye and those I think you should get in your trackers to follow. Now, I could easily sit there and give you the superstar names from the weekend because this weekend's racing was nothing short of absolutely outstanding. If every weekend of racing was like that, I can tell you racing would have a lot more fans than it already does. But let's talk about some of those horses. These are not my horses to put in your tracker, but I just want to talk about some of the superstars because we've seen some that are going to go on to be big at the Cheltenham Festival. So let's just mention them. Let's start with Woodoo, Gordon Elliott's lovely mare over at Ascot. She travelled a little bit in snatches, in my opinion. She wasn't absolutely comfortable, but what she finds when the jockey clearly is able to ask her is incredible. She just picked up. She had so much pace to offer and so many gears left, and she didn't just beat tree stumps. She beat a really good horse in Sam Thomas's Celtic Dino. I think that's still a horse to follow personally as well, but would do really good. Let's talk Lossiemouth. Has she nailed down a marker for the champion, or will she just dot up and win the mare's hurdle? I hope it's the champion. I'm sure plenty of you others do as well. She really needs to take a chance. She's proved that she's class over 2 miles. She just needs to either dictate the pace or have a strong pace in the race, which in a champion hurdle is guaranteed. Don't jump away from such a great opportunity, Willie and Richie. The mares is there for the taking. You've probably got another in the yard that can win it anyway. Grey Dawning. Oh, what a beautiful, stunning racehorse this is. Dan Skelton was almost visually emotional after the win of that at the weekend, and fair play to the team. It's obviously clearly a great team effort to get this horse A1 for the day, and it won on the bridle. It won a Betfair chase on the bridle. Royal Pagai's run an absolute belter in second on ground he probably wouldn't love at that age. It's just a remarkable performance. It kind of makes me cramp it a little bit, but I appreciate what a great horse Grey Dawning is, and one to follow for sure. The Jukebox Man, wow, jumping back with a bang. He is just something to watch. He will get fans just for the way he does things. Enthusiastic, lovely racehorse, knows what he's doing, knows his job, jumps out quite smart. Probably going to be better going right-handed, dare I say. I think that's probably where he'll be at his absolute best in the way that he does seem to find. He won at Kempton last year in the way that he does jump. But a very smart horse all the same. Ben Pauling's got lots of nice horses. This is probably just about his best one. Django Bay at Ascot. Let's go back there. Let's talk about that. A remarkable performance from him, really. Laid down a marker for sure for the King George and maybe the Gold Cup later in the season. I'll be honest with you. I don't think Ile Francais even turned up in that race, and it's the horse that I put up on a live that was on Thursday, Friday night. I don't think the horse has turned up. Sadly, I've not found out what quite went wrong. You can't call it a prep run. The horse doesn't run like that normally. I don't know if they tried something new and it hasn't quite come off. Whatever the situation, Ile Francais hasn't run its race, but Django Bay has. And Pic Dory was a tired horse, and after excursions at Wetherby a couple of weeks ago, we did highlight that. Gidley Park's run a blinder. I just wonder if it is actually that strong a form. But Django Bay can only do what he done, and he finished very powerfully and strong to the line. So he's definitely a contender for the big one in March and Boxing Day. Gaelic Warrior versus Factor File. They come as a pair, these two, because not one impressed more than the other, really. Factor File's lost nothing in defeat there, really. Gone down to a rejuvenated Gaelic Warrior, as far as I'm concerned, a horse that's just matured into a real superstar. Now, if you're talking King George horses, I think he's the winner. If he turns up, I think he's the one that they'll all have to beat. Classy, travels, clearly stays, not short of pace, not short of stamina. Could this be the Gold Cup dark horse? Maybe. But Factor File, Ryanair, booked his ticket as far as I'm concerned. He'll go and do something pretty good at Leopardstown, which is a track he likes around about Christmas and maybe at the Dublin Racing Festival. I love the horse, and I think that he'll go and do the business as far as I'm concerned. Right, those ones, they're out the way. Those ones are gone now. I don't want to sit and tell you that that those horses are the horses to follow, because you've already seen those horses. It's those that have run well elsewhere and probably not caught your eye that you need to get in your trackers. And here we go. I'm going to start on Friday. I've got 3 for you from Friday. First and foremost, we'll start at Ascot because there was some good racing at Ascot on Friday. We put up a horse called Trust in Times on our Patreon service, and he beat Fortune de Mer, who was a hold-up horse. Now, Manuelito is a horse that ran in the race and fell, unfortunately. A well-backed horse in the race. But Trust in Times also was a horse for me. He's gone and won the race, but he's won it in a way that I don't think the jockey wanted to be there too soon, and he's ended up in front way too soon. However, the attitude the horse showed tells you that he's going to be good in a battle, because it turned into a bit of a battle, and he showed he's hardy. Brian Carver rode him really, really well. Fortune de Mer come there as he normally does, tanking, but Harry just took it a bit too easily, I think, and probably thought the gap was going to appear, and it didn't. But this horse come over to Fortune de Mer because I think he wanted to eyeball him because he knew he had him in a battle, and that was what ended up happening. As soon as he got to eyeball him, he shot another couple of lengths clear. He's only rated 119. My guess he'll go up £5, and I think that we're probably going to see this horse jump back into, I hope so, into a novice hurdle somewhere, because I think he's better than 125, and I think that that they'll be able to go and win a nice novice hurdle. It might be handicaps either way. He's a horse to follow. Trust in Times. Get him in your tracker. Harry Fry's horse is very, very good. Excuse me. The next horse from Ascot is a horse called The Walk. He won the last race, the bumper. I've just got this feeling that that was a very strong bumper. Very talented, well-bred horse by Walk in the Park, this, for the probably one of the most informed trainers in the country, in Joe Tizard, in those famous black with the gold, with the white diamond silks. I just think that this is a horse to follow. He could well be very, very, very good. I hope they look after him and take their time with this horse. I'm not sure we're going to see it loads, but there's some smart bumpers coming up at Newbury. There's a smart bumper coming up at Cheltenham later on in the season before the festival. I just think that this is a horse to follow. He would probably be much better for that run. That was his first ever run. He wasn't from the point-to-point scene. He's just been a well-bred horse that has looked all the while that he's going to be very special going forward. Whatever he does on bumpers, I'm guessing he'll be better as time goes on. And as most Walk in the Parks are, I think he's very good. The Walk, he could be a really lively one to follow. The time of the race also wasn't bad at all. The final one on the Friday to give you is a horse over in Ireland called Kiss Will. Now, this horse finished third after travelling so powerfully through the race. Strong travelling horse. He's got nice novice hurdle form and nice handicap hurdle form. He won a nice race up at Perth, which is full of really smart horses, to be fair. This was his debut over fences, so obviously he's going to come on a ton for it anyway. Willie Mullins, Paul Townend, there won't be that much hidden from this particular horse. But I do think that he could be way better than what we've seen. He was taken quite wide at the home straight, probably for a little bit of better ground. The ground had probably gone a little bit against him that day as well. But if just the way he travelled and the way he jumped, he only made one little error on the way round. The horses that beat him, have run away from him, were fit, ready horses and good horses as well. So I think there's loads left in the tank for this one. And he's definitely one to follow. Okay, we go back to Saturday, where the 3 horses I'm going to give you for Saturday, none of them were winning horses. First and foremost, there's starts in the jukebox man's race. Now, Oroko would have caught a load of people's eyes for sure, but actually it's the horse in third that I think is probably achieved the most in that race, finishing just 6 lengths back off a mark of 127. Mr. Hope Street for the Skeltons is one to follow for sure. I'm not sure where he'll rock up. Hopefully a little bit of time will be taken. This is a horse that's got to have tons in hand. Travelled really nicely, jumped great, picked up at the home straight. That gap that he had to close didn't increase at all. It remained pretty much at 6 lengths all the way up the home straight. The horse that won the race was the Jukebox Man, as you will know. That horse is rated 151. Mr. Hopeshoe off 127. In a race of that nature, I'm almost certain that this is going to end up being one of the Skelton plots later on in the season. What a lovely opportunity it'll have. Might go up £5 for that, but I don't think that's going to inconvenience this horse. He's got a handicap in him for sure. Okay, the next horse to mention is a horse that Sean Bowen rode up at Haydock as well. The horse is called Hartington, another Joe Tizard horse. Obviously, horses are flying, going pretty well. He was beaten a neck by Electric Mason as a horse that I backed, actually. But Electric Mason rated 132, Hartington 122. There was only £7 disparity between the horses in terms of weight for a neck. And I think Hartington probably wants an even bigger step and test of stamina. Haydock's quite a flat track. Electric Mason probably suited him. He's definitely stays Electric Mason, but he's going to go up a few pounds for that victory. He's finished second at Cheltenham and won this race. I don't think he's completely done anyway, regardless of where he goes. Probably even a step in stamina would suit this one. But Hartington's probably going to end up with a few pounds in hand by the time if they do meet again. I also think that Hartington will be kept to more testing stamina tests going forward and tracks that allow for that. And I can just see Hartington being a horse to follow for the rest of the season. The last horse on the Saturday I'm going to give you is a horse called Martyr. Now, Venetia Williams' horses, as everybody will know, tend to come about well to themselves when the softer ground comes. This is probably an unusual one for her then, because I think this horse probably will require good to soft at worst ground. Now, Ned Fox took this ride on Saturday. This horse flew home and was unlucky not to get there in the end, beaten by Calico, who, as we know, is a really good two-miler. I think he might have done himself a lot of harm in terms of the Cheltenham Festival in March, but Calico is a good horse, capable of picking up good races as well in handicaps. Martyr went the longest way round in that race. Go back and watch the videos. He went all the way round the outside and then finished with a wet sail. He probably could do with a little bit of a step up in trip. I wouldn't be against that if that was what Venetia decided. But Ascot seems to be his track. He seems to go well round there pretty much all the time. There's a nice meeting in December, and I can see Martyr being lined up for that. There's nearly 4 or 5 weeks between that. Good run. He run okay in the Holden Gold Cup. I just my gut feeling is that it's the next day that you want to be catching Martyr. He'll be definitely well punted, I'm guessing, on that day. So you should be on too. Right, okay. On the Sunday, the outstanding racing over in Punchestown and in Ireland at Cork were the two locations that caught my eye. First and foremost, county final for Eric McNamara and JP McManus, a really fast finishing second. This horse probably left it way too late to get there, but he did finish with a flurry. Rated 120. There'll be a good handicap in this horse. He jumped okay, travelled okay, picked up really well. There's another race in this one. Definitely. County final. Nicely named. Keep your eye out for it. Over at Cork, this is a winning horse. This horse is called Sotudo for Willie Mullins, a bumper performer that was highly touted last season and lots was thought of it. He done so much wrong in the race yesterday. Like so much wrong, and he still won. And he didn't just win, he won well. And he beat some really smart horses in doing so. I don't think the Gordon Elliott horse is a bad horse. Thomas Cooper liked his and thought that he'd be better. He didn't quite jump as good. He needs to jump better. That Shuttle Diplomacy, that finished quite far back. But there was a couple of horses that ran on pretty strongly in that race to suggest that actually it might be a race worth following, let alone the horse. But Sotudo for them was pretty short, was well fancied to do what he had to do, but he didn't do everything right, and he still won. Now, if you do not take note of horses that do that sort of thing, then as far as I'm concerned, you're missing a trick. This is a horse to follow. Keep your eye on it. I'm not sure quite if he's grade 1 material, but he'll certainly be pitching in that level next time up, is my guess, when they come to the racing at Christmas. Right, the final one, you'll be glad to know. But this one could be a Cheltenham Festival winner, so you do need to have listened to this one. Calaconte for Gordon Elliott, a really good horse. a really strong, big mare that always looked a bigger chasing type of horse anyway. She absolutely dished those horses yesterday, and she was way too good for them. Jade de Grugy, who finished second to Lossiemouth at the Cheltenham Festival, was the only horse to really lay up with Lossie at Cheltenham at all. Calaconte ran in that race, but she ran two bad races at the back end of the season. And I think that she probably got a little bit over the top, which means that she's essentially she's a horse that has done all her running and probably gone a bit sour at the end of the season. Mares, it happens more to them than it does the geldings and the stallions and what have you. But at the end of the day, it can happen to any horse. If it's had enough, it's had enough. And I think that's what happened at the back end of last season. But this season, I think they'll campaign her with the mares chase in mind at the Cheltenham Festival. If not that, I could easily see her pitched in against the boys over the 2.5 mile Cheltenham as well. She's just very, very good. And if she jumps like she did at Cork and she travels like she did, she'll be winning so many more races. She has not done a winning. Winning's not finished there. So it's Calaconte for the final one to follow from me this weekend. Now, hopefully you enjoy this series. I'm doing them every Monday. Get them all in your tracker. I assure you they're all worth following. There'll be winners in waiting. They might even appear in our Patreon service. That's how keen I am on a couple of these. Guys, thank you for listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed listening to the horses to follow from the weekend just gone. Roll on, the Coral Cup, the Hennessy this weekend, and the Fighting Fifth with the New Lion taking on Constitution Hill and Andersam. It looks a cracker and I cannot wait. Thanks for listening.